Hi everyone, Paul Mahoney here, founder and managing director at Nova Financial Group. I wanted to talk about a fairly common theme that's been discussed in the media recently about a London exodus, or even more so, a central city exodus. So not just focused on London, but all major cities across the UK and worldwide, and the potential of people maybe no longer wanting to live in city centres because of the COVID-19 realisation of more people working from home, the likelihood of that continuing. I suppose first off, just to give my view on this, is that I don't agree that that will be the case. I haven't seen any hard data that confirms that has been the case. But even if there were hard data, I've been working in the city in London for many years now. And for anyone that works in the city, that they know that London clears out on a Friday. A lot of people don't actually live in London, but travel into London to do business. They might live out in the home counties or even further afield. So it's not uncommon for people to not hang around the city if they don't have to be in the city. But the benefits of living in central London or in and around central London aren't just business. For example, I live in Zone 2 London, and I don't just live there because it's 15 minutes from the office. I live there because of the cafes, the bars, the restaurants, the gyms, the facilities and amenities that it offers over and above employment. And there's been a very long-term trend toward inner city living. If we look at somewhere like Manchester as a perfect example, 20 years ago, there was only 1,000 people living in the Manchester city centre. Today, there's 30,000, so 30 times the amount of people living in that city centre. Previously, it was mostly retail and commercial space. Everyone lived out in the towns they travelled in. Now people want to live centrally. And I believe that this is a generational trend, more so than anything else. And it's been quite a long-term one. Because if we look at the older generations, for example, the baby boomers, who in the past controlled the market, they were more family focused. They got married earlier, they had children earlier, and they wanted the big family home. Whereas young professionals today, they're getting married much later, they're having children later, they're generally working longer hours, and they're more focused on having facilities and amenities on their doorstep than having the big family home. They're renting for longer, there's less home ownership. So there's a whole range of things that are driving, mostly being driven by preferences here, toward why people live in city centres over and above where they work. I also read a recent report that said that over the next 20 years, the amount of people living in urban areas, so central locations, is expected to increase from just over 50% worldwide to at least 60%. That's literally billions of people. Now, granted, that report was published pre-COVID-19, but I also read a recent report that confirmed that the population of New York Central had actually grown over the COVID-19 pandemic as opposed to shrunk. So I do think that there is quite a lot of media sensationalization of the idea of people abandoning the city. I don't think that will be the case. And sort of applying that to property investment, I certainly still believe that as we get back to some form of normality and things like entertainment and sport and working in an office return to the norm, that central location properties will still be the way to go, because that's where you have the most depth in the market. That's where you have the most reason for people to want or need to live there. So that's my opinion on the topic. Let me know whether you agree or disagree in the comments. Subscribe to our channel to hear more about our views on property investment and how we go about investing in property successfully. Thanks very much for listening.